It's nice to see you again, Westchester. Thank you for subscribing. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2026, and I'm Benita Ties with the Westchester Chronicle. In this week's newspaper, we took a look at VIPR.ai, the automated license plate reader cameras and software that have looked over Westchester for the last 5 years. Tonight, we want to go further in depth, discussing how the software works and the impact it has had on our community since VIPR's cameras have been installed. First, let's take a look at the presentation that VIPR CEO Sean Petty gave to IPVM, a Pennsylvania-based research and news organization focused on physical security technology back in 2023. It has been edited for time.
Just by way of a little bit of background, we actually operate the largest license plate recognition network in Pennsylvania. So, basically from end to end, top to bottom. So certainly we have a, what would be considered a large regional database to be able to track, vehicles, offenders across, many multiple jurisdictions.
Do you also implement this system similar to Flock where you share that information between the jurisdictions or for law enforcement use?
Yeah, absolutely. For law enforcement use, our policy is opt-in by default. We certainly provide the option for an agency to opt out if they don't want to share that data. That's a very, very small minority of agencies that do that, but we recognize that the value in license plate recognition, or more specifically in vehicle intelligence, is in the sharing of the data and building, large networks across, large areas and sharing that data between law enforcement agencies. So absolutely 100%, we are a sharing company. We built one of our products, what we call VIPR Unity, has been built specifically to break down those barriers, even across vendors, to be able to share data. We have several hundred agencies across Pennsylvania that use our technology today. One of the main benefits, because it is a pretty crowded marketplace when it comes to this type of technology, but we think one of the things that really separates us from others is our speed of innovation, both on our various platforms, but also on our AI ML models, and our release cycle to update those models and get them out to all of our edge clients that are out there. What I wanted to introduce today is our entire new VIPR platform. And our VIPR platform was released officially in October of last year. That's our vehicle intelligence and plate recognition software suite. So I know there is some concern about rapid deployment of this type of technology. We've gone back and baselined a lot of our installs, probably several hundred again that we've done, and our typical time to install a single camera and make it operational is on the order of about 75 minutes. So certainly quick and rapid deployment in that case. I'm very pleased, perhaps at a future new product show, I'll show off our VIPR application, our phone app. It's a fully functional LPR as well as a full interface to our database. You can add plates to a hot list. You can search plates, search the entire database right from your phone, fully functional, as well as put the phone on your dashboard, drive down the highway, drive through a parking lot, and read plates right from your phone with pretty high level of accuracy with that kind of computing power that's in that phone. So we're very proud.
So to reiterate, you could do LPR using your phone camera.
That is correct. At highway speeds too. So you could, for example, we've tested, you can sit on the side of a highway with vehicles passing at 70 or 80 miles per hour and get reliable reads during the daytime. Certainly an iPhone doesn't have infrared, but during the daytime and get reliable reads with, I'm sad to say I have an iPhone 10, so I can only imagine what it would do with an iPhone 14 as well. So low end, if you think about that, that's 3 or 4 model years back of iPhone. So just imagine what it would do. And that's at high frame rate, again, highway speeds. So again, we're pretty proud of that. We invested a lot of time and energy into that. And, we're pretty proud to roll that out to a lot of our users. We spent a lot of time with our software as well to have it auto configure, many different cameras that are available out there to just set it and forget it. We call it ring simple. plug it in, recognizes it, programs the camera, and it's online. So you point it in the general direction, and it's reading with a high level of accuracy. I certainly have been trolling the IPVM forums for a long time, and watching a lot of shows like this to understand the marketplace. And there are a few things that I just wanted to kind of set aside and show you how our product is different than others that are out there, and kind of debunk some of the myths, if you will, that I've seen, and show how our product is different in that case. One of the ones I see a lot is that LPR is really expensive, and it requires LPR specific cameras and special software and very expensive cameras. That's not at all the case with our VIPR solution. So we can run on pretty much any type of IP camera, and we've tested on many different styles of them. One funny thing is that for one of the manufacturers, we've actually found that their LPR specific camera actually performs worse than a regular bullet camera. We have some highway speed locations where we have 8 and 10 FPS installations, which are performing perfectly. So certainly, could we jack it up to 30 FPS? We could, but we don't really see the benefit of doing that. And when we look at hundreds of millions of reads, there really isn't a huge improvement in going up to a 30 FPS. I guess quickly here, just to hit on some of the things that we include in our VIPR suite of software. Our VIPR Node software is the most popular system in our suite. So that's the edge software that's running and processing all the data directly from our cameras. That's providing all the vehicle intelligence, plate recognition, everything. Our VIPR web application, hopefully I'll get an opportunity to show you that here live in our beta environment. Our VIPR Unity software, I'll talk about that in a second, but that's a very small Windows-based on-prem application which plugs directly into a server that may run one of various other vendors' products, and acts as a unifying application to bring LPR data from other platforms into our VIPR web application, but also we can distribute data back out to those applications as well. So we can install our cameras and feed data into other LPR vendors' applications as well.
And this VIPR suite is one price for all these features, or is it different prices for each of the features?
So we don't charge for the VIPR Web or VIPR Unity. The VIPR Node software is based on it depends. If it's a bring your own camera solution, then it's priced based on the camera, or the number of cameras, if you will. If it's a package, which the majority of our installations are, then we price them kind of individually.
And what's the price range for those, your own installations?
So from a budgetary perspective, we suggest that our agencies budget $2,000 per camera per year, which is all inclusive. There are no, we don't have any other charges for installation or maintenance or training or seat licenses or anything like that. It's a one price fits all, $2,000 per camera per year. And on the bring your own camera solution, currently it's $45 per camera per month. Everything in our applications is 100% FBI, CJIS security policy, latest version compliant. So we've been through audits with a state police agency that has gone over that and would attest to that as well. I talked about VIPR Unity. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but this is really a powerful feature where we can take this small Windows-based application, install it on a server of another vendor's LPR solution, and then we can immediately share data into our VIPR web application. If they have mobiles from that other vendor or stationary systems from that other vendor, we can install Unity on the server. It'll immediately start feeding that data from those stationary systems or the mobile systems from that other vendor into our VIPR web. If the data coming in from that other platform doesn't provide make, model, and color, or what you'll hear me refer to as MMC, we process that data when it comes into our VIPR web application. We'll process those images for make, model, and color to add value when that data is brought into the VIPR web application. So it adds, the intelligence that may not exist in that older legacy hardware. When we bring it in, we can add that. The hot lists, or what are sometimes referred to as watch lists, we provide them and manage them 100%. So that's usually the weak link with a lot of deployments is, we have the system, it's set up, but where do we get the hot lists? How do we ingest them? What format are they in? And we've built a very robust system behind the scenes to handle that across different states and across different platforms. So it's 100% managed, they're monitored. For our law enforcement customers, we provide the NCIC database. So that's the FBI database that you've seen in some reporting there. So that's available. And we can work with each state CJIS security officer, or what's referred to as the CJIS CISO, to acquire permission to use that NCIC database, as well as any state DMV databases that might be available in that state. We've talked about this idea of sharing data, and then there is another whole segment of our operation, which is for private non-law enforcement systems. So that's housed not only in a completely separate cloud region, but the two systems, don't touch each other. So we can be, absolutely 100% sure that the law enforcement data is separated from the private data that's out there. I guess just to summarize quick before I let the propeller spin here quickly is, what we're looking at for the future is, for those that may be listening, expanding our channel partners, certainly expanding our geographic territory, expanding that national database. I've spoken to a lot of integrators over the last few years, and this idea of the direct law enforcement vertical is somewhat of a mystery, or an area that hasn't been touched by a lot of folks in the past. So that's something that we have deep experience in doing that over the last 2 decades. And we're really interested in, working with the integrators that want to penetrate that market and offer another LPR vehicle intelligence solution that's out there. I really have 2 kinds of conversations every single day, and they really do boil down to this. I talk to agencies, I talk to law enforcement officers who say, if only we had your technology when, and they fill in, we would have solved that crime. And then the other one is, I talk to law enforcement agencies and they said, because we had your technology, this thing happened and we were able to solve it in just minutes. On my way to the office here this morning, I got a call from a law enforcement agency that said, wow, we have a great news story, great feel-good story. 93-year-old man went missing yesterday. Maybe had some memory issues, was driving around the Commonwealth, and he started to bounce off and hit off all of our cameras. We stopped his car and returned him to his family in a matter of hours, where, who knows what might have happened. So it's those kind of things. Literally, I could tell success stories day in and day out. And I think anybody who's had any experience with LPR knows that, but that's really the power of it. And that's what we're really on a mission to do.
Mr. Petty claimed to have hundreds of partners across the state. We have still not been provided with any legal agreements between VIPR and the Borough of Westchester, despite multiple requests. At the end of the presentation, Mr. Petty gave a walkthrough on how exactly VIPR works.
I know there are some common themes over some of these shows and questions about, does the product do this? Does the product do that? So I just wanted to hit on some of the more, common questions about, our product and what it can do. So one of them is, how does it handle difficult or extreme angles? And certainly anything could be doctored up, but I've just taken some screenshots just in the past week or so of some of these things. That's really what you're looking at. Certainly where it says details omitted, that's obviously I blurred out some private information there. But here's an example of side angle, pretty extreme angle, not the most extreme angle I've ever seen, but a pretty extreme angle, terrible quality because of that extreme angle. And you can see the, make, model, color is good. And certainly the plate recognition is good. We get the question a lot about, do you do special characters? So in some states, those special characters are actually part of the plate, like here in Pennsylvania. In other states, they are not. So you see like the firefighter tag in the upper left-hand corner, the physically disabled, plates we have here in Pennsylvania. Those are all recognized properly, and the models are trained to recognize a variety of different special characters that are out there. And you can see on each one, we have, good make, model, and color detection recognition for those vehicles as well. Another one that I see a lot is, or we get a lot, is about paper plates that are non-reflective. So, how does the system handle paper plates, temporary tags, in-transit tags, things like that? Here are some examples of of those type of plates from a couple of different states, not just Pennsylvania, but also Delaware. So again, make, model, color. And you can see even on the night images, we have good make model recognition as well. Stacked characters is a question I know comes up a lot. Vehicles approaching the camera, here are some examples of those. Same vehicle, both coming at the camera and traveling away from the camera with stacked characters. Another state, make, model, and color is good. And you can see the quality of it there with, with some faces when they approach. Also, the no plate, or what is referred to sometimes as intentionally obscured plates, that's big on turnpikes and things like that. And you can see some examples of our no plate recognition, or obviously that one on the right-hand side was not intentionally obscured, but bike racks seem to be the bane of all LPR vendors. So I think if I ever want to commit a crime, then I'm going to get a bike rack first. So, and then night accuracy and night quality. So here you see some examples of, we enhance our images to provide better make and model recognition above and beyond what the camera is capable of. So here you can see some examples of our night accuracy and, not only United States plate recognition, region recognition, but also our friends to the north as well.
So there is one quick question.
Sure.
The audience asking, will you support also the year of the model of the vehicle?
So
besides the make and model.
Yeah, so we have the year data behind the scenes. It's something that personally I struggle with a little bit because I'd probably take up too much time saying why, but we have the year data that's behind the scenes. So the models are trained to include the year, but it is a difficult thing when you have many different model years of the Ford Fusion that look exactly the same, but we do have the year data. It's just we don't.
I agree with you on that, yes, because like the first example you showed was a Volvo, and right. Volvos change their physical appearance of the model every 15 years or so.
Right, exactly.
It's just their brand culture, yeah. So it'd be hard to distinguish a 2010 from a 2016.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the other things too that really drives, we have a huge connection with law enforcement, and our product is basically created by law enforcement for law enforcement. And law enforcement, a witness, if you think about a witness or a victim, they rarely say it was a 2011 Ford Fusion that left the scene, right? So they know usually the color of it, maybe the make of it, maybe the model of it, maybe not. But it's rare that they ever know the model year of the vehicle that committed the crime. So it's just not, rather than putting information in that may be confusing or not always accurate, we omit it, but we make it available to them, if they really had a deep reason to use it.
In terms of searching, right?
Sure.
Besides the recognition of the plates, you mentioned law enforcement. So can somebody say, let's say it was a gray Nissan that had 867 in it, and then does it all bring up the ones that was a gray Nissan with 867 in it?
Let me just jump over. So I had a couple other things I was going to show here, but let's just jump over to live system and I'll show you real quickly because I know I only have 3 minutes left, and I know Kyan's going to give me the hook here if I don't hurry up. So to your point, if we take an example and we say we want to find I don't know, say a Honda Pilot, a common vehicle, Honda Pilot in the last 30 days, we can come into our web interface here and say, show me a Honda Pilot. So I'll say, show me a Honda Pilot in the last 30 days that has a plate that begins with T, for example. And they're all Hondas. Those are strictly Hondas, as you can see there. I haven't said Pilot yet, so you see all the Hondas that have there. And then I can say, show me all the Honda Pilots that have a plate that starts with the letter T. Or maybe I want to find all the ones, if we take this one here, 1879, show me all the Honda Pilots that end in 1879. We can do that, and now I see all the Honda Pilots that end in 1879. If I happen to know I'm looking for one that's silver, I can choose silver and narrow it down that way. If I know that I'm looking
for both ends, can we say, look for a plate that has 18 in it, let's say?
Sure, we can just bookend it like this. Show me all the plates show me all the Honda Pilots that have 18 in them. we can do it that way in the last 30 days, or we could go back even further than that. We can take, we can go back a year. So in many states, we follow the retention policy of whatever the state is. Here in Pennsylvania, it's 1 year. So any captures that occur in Pennsylvania, we keep the data for 1 year. So you could go back, and this search capability is extremely robust. So we can do a lot of things with it. So if you look at this plate, TYS 1879, we can say, show me all the plates that have letter, number. And then we'll see, when it redraws, we'll see all the plates, all the Hondas, if you will, pilots that are silver, that have a plate that is a letter, and 4 numbers. And we can play around with that combination and use asterisks or, add things on. Any little tidbit of information that you have, we can, we can dig into it. So that's really what what we're most proud of. For our law enforcement customers, and this would apply to a private agency as well, we have what's called the real-time view, where they can pull this up, they can set their filters and their hot lists and their cameras they want to watch, and then they can sit and be alerted both audibly and visually to any vehicles that pass by one of their cameras. Around a 5-second delay from the time it goes through the camera to the time they get it on their screen, which is more than fast enough. And, they'll get the alert right on their screen. They can see the details of it, see the details of where it was, and then they can act accordingly, on that particular offense.
It should be noted that Mr. Petty and Westchester Police Chief Josh Lee have both emphasized that the VIPR software is only used for law enforcement purposes. However, as we just saw, it seems like Mr. Petty pulled images from his network to use in slides and to show off the features of his technology in his presentation. We have reached out to VIPR.ai on multiple occasions to request an interview and have not received a response. We cannot confirm the total number of VIPR cameras in operation or which jurisdictions they operate in. As you can see here, we found a price list from 2024 for VIPR services in Union County, New Jersey. We have been able to confirm at least 7 VIPR cameras in operation here in Westchester. The right-to-know requests we submitted for the contract, invoices, bids, or purchase orders related to VIPR, previously called Plate Logic, were denied because the borough said, quote, "The request for records related to the following documents is denied as permitted by Section 705 and 901 of the Right-to-Know law." The Borough of Westchester, in good faith effort to locate the records, determined it does not possess, have custody, or control of these records. That didn't make any sense to us because on June 17th, we were able to find a purchase order and a related invoice from 2023 for year 2 of a 5-year plan for VIPR cameras at 2 intersections in the borough, right on the official borough website, west-chester.com. However, at the time of filming this episode, those documents are no longer available on the borough website. We have reached out to Borough Manager Sean Metrick for more information on why the documents were removed, but we have not heard back. As best as we can tell, the borough signed a 5-year contract at $11,200 a year in late 2021 under the administration of Interim Mayor Jordan Norley. There was never a discussion or vote by Borough Council regarding VIPR. So far, we have paid $56,000. The purchase orders have been approved by Borough Council since 2023, going through the Finance Committee after purchases over $10,000 were required to be reviewed by Borough Council. Here is every approval and the discussion surrounding it.
Then we have our purchasing approvals, and the first one is $11,200 to Plate Logic.
So this is for the license plate recognition service through the police department. This is for year 2 of a 5-year contract, and it is being purchased through CoStars, and it is within budget.
Any questions on that one? No public comment? All right, we'll call that 3-0.
Let's move to item C, and this is a motion to approve the following purchase requests. I'm going to read them, summarize them, then we can discuss. Plate Logic for $11,200. That's the annual LPR service contract. Are there any questions about any of those purchase requests. Any public comment? Any objections to approving these requests? Seeing none, we can move to other business. New business, a motion to approve the following requests here. Plate Logic, $11,200. That is the annual LPL server. Any comments regarding these purchase requests? Any public comment? All right, seeing none, we could consider that motion approved. A motion to approve purchasing requests. VIPR, $11,200. That's for body cameras for the police. Any questions regarding the purchasing approvals? None. Any public comment? We call that 3-0. Any other business?
So what has been our return on investment? The Westchester Police Department hasn't released an annual report since 2023. So we pulled statistics from the Pennsylvania Uniform Crime Reporting System to see what impact the cameras have had on the clearance rates, or what percentage of crimes result in a resolution of arrest or other, quote, extraordinary means over the last decade. As you can see, by comparing the 4 years before the cameras were installed to the 4 years after, vehicle theft clearance rates saw an increase of about 4% on average since the cameras were installed, and larceny theft cases saw a small increase as well. Clearance rates fell for burglary and other assaults, while aggravated assaults saw almost no change. So what is the legality of all of this? We sat down with local attorney Sam Stretton to ask what he thinks.
It appears to be unregulated, and that's what worries me. It's very important that such a system be regulated. It's an administrative system, and as far as I can see, there is no regulation. So I'm not sure what substantial government interest the Westchester system, which tracks every person that comes into town and has a dossier on them, which that serves. I guess you could argue might serve some help with the police, but I don't see it as a major issue there, or else I would have heard about it before. I wasn't even aware of it, so certainly there's no notice given. So in my mind, it's a blatantly unconstitutional First Amendment and Fourth Amendment violation of privacy that's totally unregulated, and our council members ought to be ashamed of themselves, particularly all Democrats, that they would allow such a thing to be in place, that they have no supervision or real knowledge, understanding of what they're doing. And I would like to know who's regulating the police in this matter. And I'd also like to know if we have similar problems that Abington, I believe if I read the paper correctly today, and others have, that the police are using it for their own personal ideas. Oh, I met this girl, and they find out what she does, or my former girlfriend, I want to find out who she's dating, which some other departments are having. Every community, the police know certain people who are prone to commit crimes. Like probably in Westchester, maybe there's about 250 people. Philadelphia, maybe there's about 25,000, 30,000. Every police community knows the repeaters. If we just picked them off the street and put them in jail, there would be no crime. Or crime would be almost zero. And wouldn't that be great? And they're just committing crimes. But you can't do that. It violates individual rights, privacy, and they make mistakes. That's what this is doing. What do you mean? They just pick this up and use it? But the problem is they haven't defined its purpose, and they haven't limited it, and they haven't regulated it. So it can be used for anything. Like, I drive back and forth my house to court, whatever, all the time. I assume that if a police officer wanted to see what I do, he would have a big dossier of me, where I go here, there, everywhere. Because I got a home in Westchester and an office in Westchester. And that's personal information. And what are they doing with it? Who's regulating that? Who can look at it? I don't, it's something that I think is foreign to our concept of individual rights and democracy.
For now, that is all the information we can provide, but we are still looking into the legal relationship between VIPR and the borough, as well as the other over 70 camera-like devices on traffic lights at over 35 intersections in the borough. And we will let you know when we have more information. And now, here's Josh Gordon with the Westchester Chronicle Sports Report.
Thanks, Benita. This is Josh Gordon with your Westchester Chronicle Sports Update. One of the biggest stories in Chester County and the entire Mid-Atlantic region sports world right now is our own Westchester Eastside Little League team and their trip to the Little League World Series. These guys have spent the summer chasing a dream. Now, that dream has brought them to Williamsport. For the first time in more than 70 years, a team from Westchester has advanced to the Little League Baseball World Series. And Eastside did not simply survive the road to Williamsport, they dominated it. Eastside finished the Mid-Atlantic Regional Tournament with a perfect 3-0 record. The team opened with an 8-1 victory over Naaman's Little League of Delaware. Next came a commanding 10-0 shutout of Capitol Hill Little League from Washington, D.C. That set up a rematch with Naaman's for the Mid-Atlantic Championship. With a trip to Williamsport on the line, Eastside wasted no time. Ryan Hennessy and Jack Cassidy helped Westchester score 3 runs in the first inning. From there, Cole Warner took control on the mound. Warner recorded 8 strikeouts, allowed just 1 run, and helped Eastside secure a 3-1 victory. The final out set off a celebration years in the making. But this team's journey is not over. It is entering a new chapter. Eastside is now one of the only 20 teams remaining in the world. 10 teams represent the United States, 10 more represent the countries and regions from around the globe. Eastside received an opening round bye and will play its first World Series game on Friday, August 21st at 7:00 p.m. The game will take place under the lights at Howard J. Lamad Stadium and will be televised nationally on ESPN. Westchester will face the winner of the opening round game between Bridgewater, Massachusetts and Bayonne, New Jersey. The Little League World Series used a modified double elimination format. That means every pitch matters, but one difficult game does not have to end the journey. Eastside has already shown that it has the pitching, the defense, timely hitting, and composure needed to compete with the best teams in the country. Now, these 12-year-old players will step onto one of the most famous fields in youth sports. They will play in front of thousands of fans. They will compete on national television. And they will carry the support of Westchester, Chester County, and the entire Mid-Atlantic region with them. This team has played with confidence, discipline, and a belief that it belongs on this stage. Those qualities have taken Eastside all the way to Williamsport. Now they are 4 wins away from the United States Championship game and 5 wins away from becoming the Little League World Series champions. No matter what happens next, this team has already made history. But Eastside did not travel to Williamsport just to participate. They're here to compete. The dream of reaching the Little League World Series has been achieved. Now Westchester Eastside begins its quest to win it. Well, that does it for tonight's report. If you have a story or a team you would like us to cover, hit us up on our socials and we'll be in touch. For the Westchester Chronicle, this is Josh Gordon. Until next time. Now back to you, Benita.
Thank you, Josh. And finally, as we enter the first days of school next week, we want to wish all of our students from pre-K to post-grad a great school year. To everyone celebrating the beginning of the 2026 school year, you got this. And that's all for today's episode. As always, we want to thank you for your time and we hope to see you soon. As you know, we are holding our first subscription drive. If you are not already a subscriber, click the link in the comments below and we'll deliver a paper right to your door every week. It's only $8 a month, and every new subscriber through the end of August will receive a print of the painting Westchester Summertime by local artist Josh Ruggieri. Our goal is to gain 100 new subscribers by the end of the month, so if you want to support local news and get some cool art, feel free to subscribe. Our entire team wants to thank every single one of our subscribers. Our local reporting is made possible by neighbors like you. Until next time, I'm Benita Ties with the Westchester Chronicle.